So there's something I love more than a good critique, especially a logo critique. And I asked my audience to send in their own logos and branding that they've made if they'd like me to give my feedback on it, and you guys sent some, so that's what I'm gonna do today. I'm going to go through and give some of my feedback. As far as the type of feedback I'm giving, it's really only going to be concerned with like the composition, not really having to do with if this accurately represents the personality of this business, simply because I don't know anything about this business. So without further ado, we'll start with our first one. So this one is for Moss and Twine, and they sent in all of the branding that they did. So overall, I think this is great, amazing job. I love the logo mark here, how they connect. Now, getting into what I would say could be different. So, okay, actually I can't tell if this is part of the logo or not now that I look at it, because it says Professional Events Florist Brand Board. So I think this might just be the title for the presentation and not actually part of the logo. But if it is a part of the logo, I would change that to maybe a sans serif and make it smaller. Like something like the logo mark, this logo mark has here with the sans serif. I think that's very nice. So you may have done that for the primary logo, but I just thought this might have been a part of the logo. Not sure. As far as this pattern here, I think that's very nice. I might have spaced it out a little bit more, just because it's a little bit close together, so maybe a little bit more airy is what I would have gone with. I'm gonna try and image trace this to see if I can edit it, because it would be helpful to be able to like edit these and show you what it would look like, you know what I mean? Alright, so this does not look great, but I image traced this and you can kind of generally see the design. But what I would do is with this branch, kind of alter it like that a little bit, and just even doing that kind of helps the layout a little bit. It's just the spacing really. So you can see like the spacing here, you want to be pretty close to the spacing over here. The little diamond that's down here, I think it might be a little bit out of place. I might put that somewhere else. It throws off the layout just a little bit by having it down there, I think. So yeah, not bad at all. And then maybe move this over a little bit more and this, just to get the spacing right. The spacing is really important. So maybe like that to make it look more unified. So something like that. That's probably what I would do. So instead of doing the little star at the bottom here, maybe you could incorporate it into the branch at the top. So doing something like that with some stars in it. I think that would look really cool. And then you can kind of space it out a little bit more. But overall, great job, good logo. I love the vibes here. And let's move on to the next one. So with this one, overall good logo, very cute. Let me try to image trace this one so I can try and make those edits. I should have asked for them to send in editable files. That was my bad, but you know, we'll work with what we got. All right, perfect. So for this one, again, this is a rough image trace, so not exactly like the original. So I'll use the original as a reference. But for this one, I think it's really cute idea, good composition. So what I would tweak about this is really just, so how these letters combine with the image in the background, I would make that a little more seamless, because you see how this curve does not align with the curve of the A here. So I would change that, as well as the R over here. Same with the B over here, it doesn't quite have the same curve as the letter. And also I'd make sure that the spacing from the letter to the icon is the same for all of these spaces. What you can do is make like a reference kind of square and use that, and then alter the other ones to have that same spacing. All right, so hopefully you can see that made it look a little bit better already. Just everything just kind of works together a little bit more. Also the hook on the end here, I would make that rounded just because the point isn't really as appealing visually, I would say. And then again, move this over a little bit just so that the spacing is even between, you know, right here and over here. I might move this E over a little bit so that the lettering is, you know, all symmetrical in there. That's really all that I would do for that. Definitely a cute logo. And yeah, good job. All right, so next one, this one's awesome. I love this style, this like badge kind of logo. I think having this all in the same font is a little bit too much. I would change I would change this to be something else, maybe a sans serif. So let's see. Okay, possibly like that. It just kind of sets it apart a little bit and brings the focus to the main type. So with this one, it's not quite aligned. So this circle is centered with the outside circle. And you can see that the bottom text does touch this circle, but then the main text on the type does not. So they're spaced a little bit unevenly. And then also you can see that the text on the bottom here doesn't exactly follow this curve. It curves up a little bit more at the end over here. So I would fix that so it's consistent like this type on the top. But I love the 50 in here. I think that's super cool. There might be a way to make that a little bit more obvious, but I do think that's really cool. All right, so very subtle, not a lot of changes there, but that's really the main things that I would say. Yeah, overall, really cool logo, great job. So we'll move on to this one. The main thing I would say with this is the subtext, just with making it even with the primary text. For one, I would say this is far too spaced out, so let me create some new subtext. It works really well to put the text in here just because the G over here brings some weight to the bottom. And by putting this over here, it balances that weight on the other side. So maybe something like that, maybe lowercase. I don't know which one I would go with. I just like the idea of uppercase just because the main text is all lowercase, so it kind of balances that. I love the A here, that looks super cool. Yeah, that's the main things I would say for this guy. So definitely not bad. Really cute logo. Good job. All right, so this is our next one, and I'm not sure how well I'll be able to image trace this. Okay, that actually worked really well. So with this one, love the style of this. It's really cool. The winery kind of thing. Okay, the main beef I have with this one is the intersection of this thin type with this line. That just makes it a bit difficult to read. So getting rid of the line just through this would make it quite a bit better. So let me see if I can do that. All right, look at that. So I think that helps a lot just with legibility. As far as this icon, I might add a little bit more to it. I like the simplistic, just blocked out look. But if you added maybe just like a little bit of like a profile, that might be kind of cool. Alright, so I definitely think something like that adds a little bit more to it. And then as far as the colors, so I feel like just from the vibe that I'm getting from the photos and mock-ups, I don't feel like the colors in this bottom right design are quite on par. I don't know what the brand is going for, but they feel a bit bold and bright for this style. It looks like maybe the style is a bit more muted and mature. So I'm not sure if this is what I would go with, but again, I'm not sure what the brand is looking for. So that I can't really say. But that's about all I would do with the logo. That's the main things. Cool logo, I like it, very unique. And let's move on to the next. All right, so this one, they provided a couple of options. They weren't sure which one they were gonna go with. So just looking at them, I would go with, I mean, the number 1 is more legible to me, but number 2, the layout works a bit better. It's a bit more symmetrical, but I'm gonna go with number 1 and do my critique on that. I think this is really cool. So the and sign has a dog and like a wheel worked into it. I think that's really cool once you look at it for a minute, but at first glance, it's kind of hard to see that. There's kind of a lot going on, so the focus isn't really on that. Overall, this type is really cool, so I'm just adjusting the spacing here. I'm kind of doing this with all of them because spacing is just something that catches my eye initially. I'm just gonna tighten this up a little bit. So you just want to make sure the lettering between each letter is pretty even. I would also take this and probably move it down here a little bit and then adjust this L to work with that and sign. So otherwise the lettering is very cool. I like that. There's kind of a lot going on, maybe too many curves and too much to look at. Yeah, good job. That's really the main thing. That's all I'm gonna do on this right now because it's hard to say much else not knowing much about the company. Alrighty, so this guy. So this is pretty cool. Cool icon. So as far as the layout on this, it's pretty disproportional. This text is too small compared to the icon, so I want to even those out. All right, now getting into the layout of the actual type here. These are far too close together, I would say. Definitely want to space that out a little bit. I would maybe adjust these letters a little bit to get that spacing right with the subtext. So I just wanted to make sure that this text was pretty centered within like this area because you don't want it to go under the Y over here because then there's like this big space in between like right here. So you don't want that. You want it to line up in here somehow. So with doing that, you just want to make sure it's all even so that the space over here is pretty equal to the space right here, just so that everything looks all even. And also with this type here, I would probably either make this all lowercase or capitalize this T and then capitalize the D here. So it's like sentence case. So the E is capitalized and then the rest of the phrase is not. And that's not something I usually like to do with subtext, even though that is kind of grammatically correct. You know, visually, I think it looks a little bit better if you have the capital on all of the words or lowercase or all caps throughout all of it. All right, otherwise, this icon is cool. I'd love to know more about the representation there. Yeah, that's probably about all I have to say for that one. Again, with like the other ones, just mainly fixing the spacing a little bit. Okay, so those are all the logo critiques I have for today. This was really fun, just seeing all the logos and giving a little bit of feedback on what I would do differently. And honestly, these were all great. So I really enjoyed looking at these and seeing everyone's work. You know, if I should do another one of these and you want me to critique your logo, let me know. But that's it. So I will see you next time. Bye.